Good evening. I'd like to call the work session for December to order. The time is 7:02 p.m. Welcome, everyone. If you would, please join me in a moment of silence. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. No special recognition. No public participation. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mr. Johnson. I need a second. Second by Mr. Anderson Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent's reports.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, members of the board, Madam Superintendent, good evening. In the financial report, the special purpose local option for education sales tax distribution for October was $1,345,176, which is a decrease of $42,743 from the previous month. The average for the first 10 months of East Plus 5 collections is $1,362,110. The title ad valorem collection for October was $489,911, and expenditures are within budget at 39.78% expended, with 41.67% of the year complete. And finally, Georgia law requires that we publish a schedule of East Blost expenditures by December 31. This schedule will be published in the December 2020 edition of the Covington News. And the East Blost project advertisement is there for your review, as well as the financial statement for November. And that is the financial report.
Any questions or discussions? Give me 1 second, Dr. Barr. I'm clicking on the tab, looking at something. Okay. No one has any? All right, strategic plan report.
Good evening. Time will not allow me to go through all of these, but I want you all to really take the time and go through this because some fascinating things happen in the month of November, even in the midst of all this going on. But I will highlight just a few. Under student achievement and success, special needs preschool teachers participated in the Georgia Early Learning and Developmental Standards training in November. This training will allow staff members to align instruction for preschoolers with their respective IEPs by including age-appropriate standards and modifications as needed. High-quality workforce, new elementary teachers met online Thursday, November 19th, 2020. This was the second meeting of the school year designed to continue to support new teachers in the district. The November meeting focused on the response to intervention process, which we otherwise know as RTI. The session was led by Kim Wilbur, coordinator for gifted education and RTI, and 2 of our MTSS specialists. Culture, Climate, and Communication, the Title I and ESOL departments have partnered to provide English classes to parents with limited English proficiency. Ms. Studdard, who is a West Newton ESOL teacher, and Ms. Gonzalez, who is our Title III support specialist, have provided engaging virtual English lessons for parents throughout the district. As parents develop their language proficiency, they are better equipped to support their NCSS students. Parents receive notebooks with their lessons and some treats to get them ready for their first lesson. During the first week, over 40 parents participated. The sessions will be held virtually each week for 2 hours for 8 weeks each semester. And organizational and operational effectiveness, Carryover funds have been recently allotted to the Title I schools. Title I staff members have worked with school personnel regarding completing their carryover budget justifications and updating their respective school-wide improvement plans. And that, Madam Chair, is the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roundtree. Enrollment report.
The enrollment report, as of December 2nd, 2020, our current enrollment is 18,858 students, which is a decrease of 560 students from this time last year. However, enrollment is up by 27 students over last month. That's the enrollment report.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain questions if anybody has questions for B or C. Okay, none? All right, we have nothing under old business. Moving on to new business. The only item that requires action is N, once we get to it. Item A.
In item A, the superintendent recommends the approval of the 180-day student calendar, 190-day teacher calendar, hereafter referred to as option 1. As background, all employees, parents, students, and community members in the district were given an opportunity to participate in an online survey allowing for review and indication of a preference among 3 options for the 2021-2022 school calendar. The 3 school options were: option 1 had a start date of August 2nd and an end date of May 20th, 2022. Option 2 had an August 9th, 2021 start date and an end date of May 27th. Option 3 had a September 7th, 2021 start date and a June 16th, 2022 end date. Based on survey results, option 1 was the preferred calendar, which includes the following: Monday, August 2nd, 2021 is the first day of school, a full week for fall break, a full week for Thanksgiving break, 2 weeks for winter holiday break, a midwinter break of 2 days, which wraps around a weekend, a Friday and Monday, which is President's Day, a week for spring day break, and school ends on Friday, May 20th. And the full version of the calendar is there for your review. And that is option A, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Barr. Any questions or discussion about item A? Everybody is watching, waiting. I had teachers like, is the meeting gonna be live? They want to know what calendar is gonna be presented. So option 1. So these items we'll vote on next week for those that are watching, okay? All right, item B.
Madam Chair, item B through item E are all related, so if I could, I'd like to present those together.
Okay, I'll ask the board, what is your pleasure? Dr. Barr said he wants to be able to present all of these together. Are you guys okay with that?
Policy revisions? All of
Yes, sir.
Everybody good? Okay, go ahead, Dr. Barr.
Changes to Title IX rules have necessitated revisions to several of our board policies, included in item B, policy GAAA, which addresses equal opportunity employment, and item C, policy GAEB, addresses issues concerning sexual harassment, and item D, policy JAA, which concerns equal educational opportunities, and finally, in item E, policy JCAC, deals with sexual harassment of students. According to the U.S. Department of Education, the changes extend many protections against sexual harassment and strongly safeguard the rights of all students, including the right to due process. The policy revision recommendations are made after consultation with representatives of the Georgia School Boards Association and legal counsel. These policies will remain under review until the next regularly scheduled board meeting on January 19, 2021. And again, that relates to items B, C, D, and E.
Okay, items B, C, D, and E must stay on the table for 30 days by law, you guys. So he's already said January 19th will be the day that we look at these again for vote. We pretty much don't have a choice though, because legal counsel has stepped in on these. But anybody have any questions or discussion? Okay, thank you. Item F.
Item F, the superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract for fleet inspection services for the Transportation Department be awarded to Morgan Fleet Services of Monroe, Georgia. The effective date will be December 16, 2020, with an expiration date of December 15, 2021. Total estimated cost is $114,400. The solicitation prescribed a turnkey solution for comprehensive bus inspection services that meet all state requirements and regulations. The service provides documented third-party attestation to the safety of buses used to transport students. As an ancillary benefit, it allows school system fleet technicians to dedicate 100% of their time to ongoing maintenance and repair of school buses. This deals with strategic goal area 4, organizational operational effectiveness. The contract documentation is there for your review, as well as the funding source is identified. And that is item F, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions, discussion for item F?
The same company as last year?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
It is.
Okay, any other questions or discussions?
Any consideration of bringing this back in-house?
No, sir, not at this time.
Any projection when?
No, sir. As I've stated previously, I believe it to be more efficient, more effective, and allows us a cost savings.
Well, I'm having a hard time figuring out the cost savings when you're charging $55 per inspection. And you have approximately, I think it's 175 bucks a give a plus. And with the type of work that's being done, I think we should develop a lower tier employees in the department. And we can do it much cheaper than $55 per bus. And during this time, I think it should be brought in-house. I don't see the savings unless you can calculate it on a stretch amount and show me other than what's there. I
Yes,
don't
sir.
see the savings.
Yes, sir. We estimate that at a minimum, it would probably take 2 additional employees to do that. And so that would be more than the, for mechanics, that would be more than the amount that we've allocated for this.
It would take, you're right, you're gonna add them employees up. How long you're calculating that it takes us per inspection?
For us, when we did it, for one person, it was on average about 30 minutes to 45 minutes to do it completely. And these folks come in and they have numerous folks that move through the process and do it very quickly.
Well, sound like
And
it's an elevation in training. It's who's doing the training, who's been properly trained.
No, our folks from time to time they have the training. This just allows
Well,
them,
why they take 30 minutes?
because it's a pretty comprehensive process, a school bus inspection.
Well, I understand it. I've done some. I understand.
These folks do check 350 items on the school bus during every inspection.
And it doesn't take 30 minutes.
No, it does not, because they have a large group of people that do the work.
Per
It's
bus.
not just one person. So we could hire, I guess, a large group of folks to do it, but I think it's important for us to consider using outside contractors when it can result in improved processes, increased safety, as this does, and as I would reiterate, at a cost savings, I believe.
Well, you're saying increased savings and safety. I don't see it based on your numbers here.
Okay.
And in practice, I don't see it. You're putting emphasis on safety. I don't see that. They have no invested interest in what they're doing. They're doing it in cadence more than anything else.
Right. And so I've lived in both
You'll
worlds.
pick up by indirectly, the value of 2 employees doing it, and rather than have contract work out amongst the employees that we have, it will improve the atmosphere that those employees are working in. And I think that carries an awesome value that's being overlooked here.
Yeah. After speaking with the employees, they are very much in favor of continuation of this. And secondly, it has led us, this has played an important part in us leading to our highest pass rate for state inspections that we've had thus
And I
far.
believe they agree with you, because they don't want to agree with it because they fear retaliation. Yes, they're gonna say it.
Okay.
Well,
So it's led to a higher pass rate than we've ever had, and that's 94% was this previous summer. So,
and Mr. Johnson, when I met with the mechanics, I asked them about this specific service, and they said that they would like to keep the service because they focus on the repairs, not the inspections. And so, they don't have any,
And Ms. Vera, I'll tell you the same thing I told him. They won't change their mind and agree with it because they fear retaliation if they said no.
I invite you to visit them and talk to them,
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson.
I'm sorry?
I invite you to visit them and talk to them, if you'd like. to
I
do that.
have.
I'd be happy to set.
I
them
have.
up.
Off the road, they'll talk to me.
Okay.
But if I tell them, I'm gonna tell you, oh gee, they're scattered. I don't think this is worth it, period. Going to the next subject.
I got a question.
Yes,
So
sir.
this company comes in and does all the inspection, right? So that relieves that driver of any complication that bus may have in the future, right? Is that what you're saying?
So the
Because
driver,
What I'm looking at is, when I used to inspect buses, and I did it, I checked brake line, brake chambers, the whole 9 yards. And I did it for 3 years. But the thing is, if you bring in an outside company, that bus driver should know what they're driving and when something is actually wrong with that bus. Because that bus driver needs to know what they're driving. Because if you buy a car, you wanna know what you're driving, what kind of oil you use, and when they change the oil. But it's some things that you have to do to the car. You have to go out and change your own tire. They're not gonna come out and change your tire. So with that saying is, how you gonna, implement the bus driver is, you call them and say, well, what's wrong with your bus?
right. So in addition to these required inspections by Georgia law and the state DOE, there's a federal requirement that drivers inspect, do a pre-trip and post-trip,
Right.
as you know. So that, it doesn't waive that requirement, that continues. In addition to that, the buses have an annual inspection from the state Motor Carrier and Compliance Division. So those are the three lenses through which we look at the school buses. And we've had it internal before. Just to be honest, we've not had the kind of results that we have now. And so I'm very comfortable in the recommendation. I think the result's a 94% pass rate. I would put us up against anybody. I'm very proud of the way that we maintain the fleet and inspect the buses.
So my next question is, do you have a safety group that would work with this group? In other words, once this group come in and inspect the bus, would they also pass down to a safety committee, a team or something like that, so they can keep a record of everything else?
So once this company comes in, they immediately, I believe by midnight every night, send us the results.
Okay.
And so we're able to take the buses out of service that need to be taken out and immediately begin the repair process or addressing those issues that need to be addressed. And so they maintain all of those files for us. So it's not just a matter of having folks inspect the bus, it's also the planning and the management of it also. So,
I guess the reason I asked the question because, as most of y'all know, my wife drives bus. And she was told to drive a bus one morning. And I told her no, because it was leaking air. And I was told by a mechanic, I don't know who it was because he didn't reveal his name. You drive the bus, the air bill up. No, it won't. Because if it's leaking air, it's gonna continue to leak. But when they realized who I was and at that time where I was working, they all came out and brought a bus. See, with that, you still got to have safety, and that bus driver still got to have knowledge of what's going on.
that's right, yes, sir.
Because had it been anybody else, they'd have drove the bus and you'd have had a lawsuit because first thing you'll be saying, well, who told you to drive the bus? Well,
Right. And,
X told me to drive it.
right, and I don't know when that happened. Was that a recent?
No, it wasn't recent.
Okay. But we have a very good fleet supervisor and a very good group of mechanics right now. And so I think, I trust they would do the right thing under circumstances similar to that.
Mhm.
Any other questions or discussion? Dr. Barr, I do have one.
Yes,
I'm just trying to recall, like, years back when it was done internal or when we first started doing it externally. I think in that presentation, and y'all know I have a memory just out of this, I don't know, I can't explain it, but anyway, but if I can recall, I think I remember you saying something in reference to there were times where things were marked from the inspection, and because of the rapport amongst the workers when doing it internally, they felt like they could repair some items later versus doing them right away. Whereas having somebody outside, it actually causes you to go ahead and do those repairs because you have someone outside looking in.
right? When you're not thinking about how many more repairs I have to do, I think it makes it easier for those folks, our internal staff, to just focus on making sure the buses are safe and operational and repaired and maintained. And that the outside folks just are simply doing the inspections. And so I think that separation of duties is really helpful to us in maintaining a very safe fleet.
Just as you said that the relationship is a plus with it, and I'm saying it's overwhelming because these bus drivers are not telling you the truth because they fear retaliation in a hostile environment, and that's there. And if we get rid of these contractors, that will help the internal relationship, period. You don't talk to them enough to win that type of relationship. And they need that. And we need to get rid of this contracting of the work out.
In any issue that you're aware of, I would certainly be happy to follow up on it, Mr. Johnson. But so far, I've not, every issue that I've been made aware of, I have followed up on. And I certainly am committed to do that going forward.
Okay, thank you. Item G,
In item G, the superintendent recommends the USDA commodity storage and hauling needed for the school system be purchased from ACC Distributors Incorporated of Leesburg, Georgia. The estimated contract value is $35,000. As background, the United States Department of Agriculture requires the usage of domestic agricultural products or commodities by child nutrition programs such as our school breakfast program and National School Lunch Program. To accomplish this mandate, commodities must be shipped, stored, and delivered to school authorities. In Georgia, the state DOE issues a solicitation to vendors for this service. The state is divided into regions, and vendors bid on the service to those areas. Accordingly, ACC Distributors Incorporated has been awarded Region B, of which the school system is a part. These commodities are stored and then delivered to school kitchens as required at a cost of $4.68 per case, and that's the cost that we pay. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 4, organizational and operational effectiveness. Purchasing documentation is there for your review, as well as the funding source, and that is item G.
okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion on G? H,
In item H, the superintendent recommends the identified items be declared surplus and disposed of per board policy DO. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 4. Surplus property list is there for review. That is item H.
okay, thank you. Any questions? I,
In item I, the superintendent recommends the purchase of virtual tutoring services from Focus Care Incorporated, doing business as FEV Tutor Incorporated, at a total cost of $35,000. And this is for Herd Mixon Elementary and Porterdale Elementary School. As background, FEV Tutor provides a personalized, live, one-to-one virtual tutorial experience 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. FEV Tutor will work closely with schools to analyze assessment data, examine student learning styles, and explore core class resources as part of a collaborative process for developing highly targeted math tutoring plans that represent a natural extension of the student's math classroom. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1, Student Achievement and Success. Purchase and documentation is there for your review, as well as the funding source. That is item I.
okay. Any questions about I?
Yes, why are the two schools listed? What identity do they carry to get the recognition?
They are part of our schools that received an extra amount of money in school improvement funds, and so they're eligible for it because of that.
So if they need improvement, they're eligible for additional funds?
Yeah, we got an additional pot of money for several schools, and Porterdale and Herd Mixon were two of those schools.
And their underperformance was in what category? Help me out on that.
Special education. We're trying to beef up the offerings for them. Now, Porterdale, the swath was a little wider, but we're able to purchase and use the hours for all of the students in the building.
Thank you, sir.
We're using FEV Tutor already at other schools, right?
Yeah, for middle and high, there was a secondary schools initiative, and so when the schools received this pot of money, they wanted to purchase it as well. So those two schools opted to use some of their funds for that. But yes, we do already have that, and we already have historical data to show the work of the FEV tutors over the past year with those schools. So,
Great, thanks.
Any more questions? Jay?
And item J, the superintendent recommends the purchase of instructional resources from Renaissance of Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. The total cost is $49,032.50. Renaissance products My On Reader and My On News are resources that effectively engage students and help to increase literacy system-wide. The My On Reader series offers students access to more than 6,800 digital books from Capstone's 5 professional content providers in both English and Spanish. The My On News solution helps develop students' nonfiction reading skills with timely, relevant informational text. 5 age-appropriate news articles are delivered every weekday. This is a continuation of a program that has been used in recent years to promote literacy and independent reading, and it is strongly aligned with Strategic Goal Area 1, Student Achievement and Success. Purchasing documentation is there for your review, as well as the funding source, and that's item J.
Any questions for Jay? Okay,
In item K, the superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract awarded to Manning Enterprises, doing business as K-12 consultants of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, for E-rate consultant services be renewed for an additional contract period, with an effective date of December 19, 2020, and an expiration date of December 18, 2021. Annually, the Technology Department issues solicitations for telecommunications, internet access, and internal connections as part of the E-rate process. E-rate is the federal government program designed to fund affordable access to advanced telecommunication services in libraries and schools down to the classroom level. As the E-rate program has extensive and ever-changing regulatory requirements, it was deemed necessary to enlist the services of a consultant to both ensure compliance and maximize funding. K-12 consultants assist in the development and review of E-rate solicitations, as well as assuring all submissions, products, services received are in compliance with E-rate rules and regulations. The cost of these services is set at 10% of approved funding dispersed to the school system, and this deals with Strategic Goal Area 1, Student Achievement and Success, and Strategic Goal Area 4, Organizational and Operational Effectiveness. Contract documentation is there for your review, and the funding source as well. And that is item K.
thank you. Any questions or discussion for K? L?
Item L, the superintendent recommends the Chromebooks, laptop computers, and accessories needed for the school system be purchased from Dell Marketing LP of Round Rock, Texas. The total cost will be $622,319,020. The Technology Department, the school system will utilize a State of Georgia contract to procure the equipment and accessories. The items and their associated cost are represented there for your review. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1, Student Achievement and Success, and 4, Organizational and Operational Effectiveness. And the supporting documentation is there, which is aligned with each funding source for your review. And that is item L.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussions for item L?
Is this for a particular school or it's for, what kind of inventory?
This purchase is for, well, you have 3 different funding sources. Good evening. I can speak to the Title I piece. The Title I schools, it is for all schools, and then specific schools have purchased additional Title I devices using their carryover funds. So you have 21 Title I schools, so a combination of the devices is allocated to each of the schools based on the request of the school. Now, I don't know about Mr. Roundtree's.
I can speak for the L4GA, which is a Literacy for Georgia grant. The school district received, it's either $5 or $7 million grant over the course. I think it's $7 million over 5 years for schools that are in the Newton High School feeder pattern. That the grant was written by the grants coordinator, Tiffany Merriweather, and so a component of that will be the purchase of technology devices for those schools that are part of that cohort of schools.
Mm-hmm. And then the last item with capital funds, those are devices for replacement of teacher devices.
And within the attachments, there's a breakdown of equipment by school.
Thank you.
I do have a comment. Now, I know this purchase is not related to my comment, but I'm gonna say my comment. So at our meeting in April, I asked a question, about how long did we project ourselves to be a one-to-one district. So, Dr. Fayal, I see you may not have to get up and say anything after this, but at that meeting in April, I also asked if it's possible that Dr. Fayal can do some sort of presentation, if he has a plan for it. I was told, Ms. Fury, when I asked that question, you said 3 years. And so I think it is evident, after all that we have experienced, from April, me asking that question to December 8th, that it's gonna need to be decreased. 3 years is too late. I think that's real evident, like with everything that we have seen and in the direction that education is going. And so many districts across the state are going ahead and saying, we're gonna have to go ahead and become a one-to-one district. And they're having to reallocate funds to make it possible. So I just would like to know, when will we see a presentation? And hopefully, we're gonna come off of those 3 years because we're gonna be way behind, if not.
I think we're way on our way. We've been putting as much as we can into the purchase of technology. I know the grant funds that I manage, that's been a really big thrust. As a matter of fact, we had a school improvement grant that was approved today, as a matter of fact, by the State Department, and there's a bevy of them in there. And if you've been visiting the schools that are part of that grant, that's all, not all they've been purchasing, but we have really been trying to beef up our offerings as it relates to the purchases there. And I'm only speaking for the programs that I oversee. I'll let the others speak for the others. But we really, really have been trying to take what you proposed and what you all have said under consideration. And so as much as we can buy when we get the available funds, we have. And so I know that's the purpose of the using the L4GA funds and devoting a large part of that money to the purchase of devices. But again, those are for the devices that are in that cohort of schools that are covered by the grant. So that's my part in it.
Yeah, to really put it into perspective and not to take my own thunder for a later presentation, but going into this school year, we were roughly at about a little over 9,000 student Chromebooks that we had in the system. And this school year, based on our Title I, CARES, capital, various grants, we are looking at about 6,282 devices that we have purchased this school year. So as you can see, we have greatly increased our purchase this year, taking us well beyond where we were looking to this 3-year goal when I initially spoke to you. So to kind of give you an idea when we receive all assets in. Now, this is not counting any shrinkage that we're going to have this year, because just perfectly, we will have some shrinkage at some level with devices going out. So that's what we started off with, what we're adding. We will be at 78% of one-to-one based on our purchases that we've done this year. So that's put us in a pretty good situation. Not where we want to be, definitely, but the 78% of the way there is definitely a lot further than if you asked me that question in January of last year, we definitely weren't going to be here. So we are well on our way, and hopefully,
Yeah, if y'all can recall, when y'all told me 3 years, I went ahead and said on the mic, that's too late.
Yeah, and, hopefully there's another round of CARES money. Hopefully we'll see what happens, and maybe that'll get us further there. But, we are well on our way at this point.
Okay.
The reason I asked the question, was it an inventory? I was under a slight impression that we were at one-to-one ratio. And sir, didn't you tell me we were close, we were close there? And that's why I referenced the language, inventory. And if we are at one-to-one, and maybe these particular schools got their equipment, I don't know, just for illustration purposes, 5 years ago, it's time to replace it. I don't know that, I'm just looking at that. That's why I asked. So in terms of somebody ask you, I'm gonna ask it again. Where are we in terms of one-to-one ratio for student devices?
We're at 78%. Once we get all the orders in that we put to the board approval today, for our next board meeting, once those are received on site, we will be at 78%.
78%.
We'll send you an updated inventory too, spreadsheet that had all the schools.
But I can't, for me, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, relate to all the forms. When I ask a fundamental question, where are we in terms of ratio, I get a high mark. And I'm not getting that tonight. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, now, and also to keep in mind with that, that is system-wide. So as Dr. Thomas and Mr. Roundtree mentioned, with this disbursement, you do have schools that are allocated those funds. So you do have some schools that are hitting the mark already. We are going to supplement those as we move forward with our plan based on capital. So being equitable with the dollars to make sure that those schools that didn't receive funds from various grants will get closer to that 1-to-1 ratio.
Okay, I think Dr. Thomas wanted to say something.
Oh, no, I
Oh,
think
okay.
Dr. Fowle has covered it.
I was
Oh,
just hoping you had something to
Thank
say.
you.
Okay. Okay, very good. Yeah, I'm still looking forward to the presentation whenever it's gonna happen. So, because it is, I mean, the 78%, that's a lot better than, better response than I got in April. So thank you guys for that. But again, like I said, it's evident that we're gonna be way behind if we don't make this happen. And there is a difference with having the inventory and being declared as 1-to-1. So I'm looking for a presentation on being declared as a 1-to-1 versus having the inventory. Okay?
And if I could just add one more component to that, and this is also one of those things that's nationwide, is this the lack of inventory of all companies. So you do have a lot of districts like us that we're just starting to receive a lot of the assets that we ordered in July,
Very good
August.
point.
And so everybody's kind of in that same, so that has been a delay in ultimately having a clear plan to kind of see when we would be getting the devices in. Now, the companies are starting to get to a 90-day lead time, which was better than the 6-month lead time that we did
Ooh.
have.
Okay. Thank you. Right, thank you so much. Any other questions or comments? Okay, item M.
And item M, the superintendent recommends the mobile device carts needed for the school system be purchased from CDWG of Vernon Hills, Illinois. The total cost is $48,430. The AC Go carts charge, secure, store, and transport 32 devices and support multiple types of Chromebooks and tablets. The school system will utilize a contract managed by Sourcewell, a national purchasing cooperative to purchase the carts. There will be 58 carts purchased at a price of $835 each. The price includes delivery. This deals with Strategic Goal Area 1 and Strategic Goal Area 4. Purchasing documentation is there for review as well as the funding sources, and that's item M.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on M? Item N.
And item N, the superintendent recommends the approval of personnel matters as discussed in executive session.
Okay,
Item N.
thank you. I need a motion for item N.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Trey Bailey. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. 4-0. Other matters of interest?
Yes, I have a comment. I guess Dr. Barr gave a report on East Side School. Have here, and would you help me understand, again, this, the first item up there, general conditions, as, that it cost us $3.2 million.
It's the division of work. I've supplied that to you previously, but I can get that information to you again, Mr. Johnson.
Well, I've asked for that for 3 straight months, and I haven't got it.
Yes, sir, and I've supplied it to you, and I will supply it to you
Well, if you
again.
don't, I want to tell you, I don't want to hear it.
Yes,
Come
sir.
to another meeting, I'm going to excuse myself.
Yes, sir, I'll be happy to get that for you again.
And I want to refer to you, Madam Superintendent, because I don't think it's fair to deny me the request that I'm making. And I've been making them in the meeting, full board meeting, and have not gotten any response whatsoever.
Just as a follow-up, I provided the schedule of values.
Disrespectful to me,
Yeah, right.
But Dr. Mark, he's saying he gave you the information.
and I've been saying it, I misplaced it, I didn't have it. I've been doing it for 3 months.
Okay, so misplacing, Mr. Johnson, is different from not supplying it. So he supplied it, you
Well, I don't need,
misplaced
wait a
it,
minute, I don't
and
need
he'll
you to
supply.
come back and restate what I'm saying.
Well-
I know what I'm saying, and I don't need you to correct what I'm saying. I know what I've been saying.
But you've made it seem like he hasn't supplied it at all.
I speak English here, and I'm saying I misplaced it, and I was asking for replacement.
Okay, that's a different statement
There's
than
no
what you
difference at
said.
all that I've been saying all along. You've been hearing what you want to hear.
I don't think I'm the only person in here that heard that, but okay. All right, any other matters of interest?
None,
Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, been moved in second, all in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned 4-0, 7:43 PM.